Well, welcome back to this session of our WPP BAV Alibaba 11.11 Global Shopping Festival broadcast. My name is David Roth from WPP, and if you've been watching our broadcasts today, we've covered a number of themes under the sustainability and purpose umbrella, and we will be moving on to other topics during the course of our broadcasting, not only just today, but also for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, because of course the Alibaba 11.11 Global Shopping Festival takes place over a period of time. And we are going to talk a little bit more about how that works from both an operation and a brand perspective with our next guest. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Daniel Poppleton, the International Director of Whittard's of Chelsea. First of all, thank you very much indeed for joining us. You're joining us live from Hong Kong. I know it's late in the evening on not only evening, but on a Friday evening. So Daniel, thank you very much indeed for staying on and giving us the time. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thanks, David. Pleased to be here. And yes, there's nowhere I'd rather be at 8:30 on a Friday night than talking to you.
Well, 20 minutes later, that beer will magically appear. I'm absolutely certain. Daniel, perhaps you could start by just giving everybody a feel for Whittard's of Chelsea. People have probably heard of Whittard's and Chelsea, but maybe not Whittard's of Chelsea.
Yeah, fine, absolutely. Whittard of Chelsea, we are fine tea, coffee and hot chocolate specialists from the UK. We're 135 years old this year, formed in 1886 by Walter Whittard. And although originally from the city of London, Chelsea coming a little bit later on in our history, have been based in the UK. We believe we have an unrivaled breadth of tea, coffee, and hot chocolate, which we present to our customers through our stores, through e-com, through marketplace, and through a host of international distribution. We export to over 40 countries worldwide, and in Asia specifically, where I am based, Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Singapore, and Malaysia, with openings in Macau and Korea before the end of this year. Specifically in China, which I know is what we're going to talk about, we've been in the market for over 5 years, purely digital, trading the brand, or an edit of the brand on Tmall Global, Local, and JD.
Well, I mean, you literally are delivering tea to China. What made you think 5 years ago that the Chinese consumer would take to British tea?
Yeah, a number of different factors, actually. It's no great surprise that anybody in the retail business, anybody with a proposition, wants to put that in front of the Chinese market. And therefore it was always on the radar for the business to look at that. We're lucky that we're able to get a couple of reads as well from within our business, in our UK stores, predominantly our London tourist stores, our Covent Gardens, our Regent Streets, as well as our online business through .co.uk, where we get a sense of the volume of interest that we have from the Chinese customer, just as a general level, but also then a very specific product read as to what the customers are looking for. In addition to that, we are able to staff some of our key tourist stores in London with Chinese-speaking staff, which means that we're able to service the China customer when he or she comes in and really start to understand what it is they like, and what it is they want from us as a brand. So we start to build up that picture, albeit not being in China, that suggests to us that there's a real demand for the heritage that we have, the modern twist that we put to that, Yes, tea is a big part of our business, but coffee and hot chocolate, especially hot chocolate, also proved to be popular. And so we had a number of different markers, if you like, that suggested that going to China was the right thing for us to do.
I mean, it's quite interesting, isn't it, that you can use as a sort of a market research process Chinese tourists in the UK to understand how you should enter China and what the various different SKUs should possibly be. It's quite an interesting way of doing that. Most people sort of do it the other way around. Clearly, there are many different avenues to enter the China market, the physical and the virtual. You chose the virtual. Talk us through a little bit about that decision-making process and what you've learned from a virtual Chinese consumer in terms of both sort of product proposition and the best way of reaching them.
Yeah. The virtual has been a progressive journey. So as I said earlier, we're currently now we trade on Tmall Global, Tmall Local, and JD. We entered the market just purely on global, and obviously the benefit of that as a cross border is that it gives you a lower risk entry model into the market. To be honest,
sorry, that's Tmall Global, yeah.
Yes,
Alibaba,
yeah,
Tmall, yeah.
Yeah. So on Tmall Global, it gives us a lower risk opportunity to offer our products to the market through a cross-border operation without all of the time, effort, and of course money in building a physical presence there at the start. So it's a much easier way, given the background that we had and talked about what we'd learned from the UK offline and online, that we felt pretty confident actually going in on that model initially to present an edit of the range. So in the UK, we'd have 350 SKUs in one of our standard UK stores. We launched on Tmall Global with around about 100 SKUs. So still quite bold in terms of the mix, because although you want to go in with as secure an offer as possible, it was still very important for us as a business to present that core proposition, to present that breadth. So albeit that we knew what the customer was buying in our UK stores, we wanted to offer them tea, coffee and hot chocolate across that range. So it allowed us to go in on that basis on a low risk model and then trade the brand. And we traded on global for 2 or 3 years before then developing the brand and taking it onto Tmall Local, the domestic brand, where it becomes a bit more complex, because you have to clear the products through. You're selling those to a domestic customer. And that comes with its own set of challenges, and we might touch on those a little bit later. Tmall Local gives you scale. Roughly speaking, I think it's about 70% of the business comes out of local, 30 out of global, generally. That's where the core customer buys. So we knew that was an area that we wanted to play in. And then from local, it explored other platforms that would be available for us. So for 5 years, thus far, it's been purely digital. As we look forward and we see that the brand does resonate, continues to resonate with the customer, that's when we start to see, okay, well, this has given us a fantastic base, fantastic foothold in the market, for which we can now grow on an omni-channel, multi-channel basis, which is what we want to do in most markets that we trade, and start to explore a combination of both the online as well as the offline.
I mean, that's an interesting sort of journey in a sense, because many people at the moment looking at their physical stores thinking, well, do we need as many, or maybe even do we need any? And you're looking at your virtual presence and thinking, actually, it would be better for us if we had a mix of physical and virtual. What does that mix of having of adding now physical to your proposition do you think, to your business and your brand?
Yeah, To be honest, that's the question of our age, isn't it? Really, I think it's how you blend those two channels together. I'm certainly in the camp that one needs the other. I think online benefits from offline and vice versa. What we see as the benefit of offline is the physical store still brings all of those components together. It is still, for us, with the product that we sell and the experience that we want our customers to have, being able to present breadth of range, and perhaps more importantly, the sensorial aspect of that, the sound, the smell, by far and away the most important, the taste, to our consumers. So creating a Whittard store where a customer is almost overwhelmed by range and choice, but then has the opportunity to engage on a taste experience. We talk about wanting to always offer our customers their next new favorite. And there's no better way of doing that than presenting them with a whole host of tasting options. And that's what the physical store will do. Will the scale come from the physical or the online? I think that's for us to see. But that's where we'll look at the balance and say, all right, well, this is what the physical does. It creates a proposition. It tells the total brand story. Yeah, the volume and the transactional success may still come in large part from online, but the two benefit from both being in existence in the market.
Now, you're participating this year in 11.11, as you have done in the past. Tell us a little bit about, I suppose, the process from your perspective of getting from the product proposition you want to create for 11.11 to, I suppose, the time we are in literally now, when you're looking at sales on a sort of an hourly, minute by minute,
hourly basis, absolutely.
Basis, and course correcting on the way.
Yeah, I mean, look, in one sense, I think Singles Day is like any other peak. It takes a lot of planning and a lot of preparation. We're only halfway through this Singles Day. We're already starting to talk about next year and about the learnings that we can take from first pre-order, first promo that we've now been through, and how that looks potentially for FY22. So I think for me that the biggest aspect of Singles Day itself is how you plan your corporate machine around that. The scale of Singles Day is financial year defining for certainly for us, but
so no pressure on you then for the next few days then.
Absolutely. That's why I haven't gone home yet. No, it really is. I mean, it's Christmas and then some, because it's focused into a much shorter period of time. Christmas, as we all know, and I'm sure the people watching this know, Christmas can start in August or September, and it's a long, slow build through to the end of the year. This is much more intense, and the reality of Singles Day is it started on the 20th of October and it will finish on the 11th of November this year. But just to give a sense of scale and comparison to the year, we took in the first 3 days of the first promotion what we would take in a quarter elsewhere in the year. So you're managing an enormous peak. So first and foremost, it just takes a tremendous amount of planning, and at least with the way that we move our product around the world, we're having to make big commitments on those big lines that that you're going to offer some form of promotional mechanic on, that we'll be securing those volumes now for next year, and we'll start that shipping process March or April, and in order to have that stock in market, cleared or at least put away from a global perspective in the warehouse. So it defines the year. and it takes the year to make it sort of come to fruition.
And in that context of defining the product ranges that you're going to offer, the combinations of SKUs to create bundled products and promotions, are you creating special products and ranges for the Chinese consumer now, or are you in a sense selecting SKUs and to create combinations of things that already exist?
Bit of both, to be honest. Bit of both. In terms of the existing, that's your normal sort of commercial rigor that you would go through and look at where your best sellers are, where your volume comes from, what kind of discount can you offer, margin calculations, all the usual stuff that you would expect to go through. Historically, we haven't developed new product for Singles Day. Our product development has been focused around some of the other big cultural events in China. So we've done specific tea caddies and blends for Mid-Autumn Festival, which took place a little bit earlier on in the year this year in September, and Chinese New Year, which takes place January, February of each year. And that's when we release the new product to market. This year we did do our first product collaboration where we partnered with Novel Tea, which is another UK brand which offers a sort of alcohol tea mix, and therefore we offered our English Rose, our classic perfumed black tea, alongside one of their whiskey teas to have a sort of day-night combination. That's the first time we've done a product collaboration. It won't be the last. I think we've enjoyed the process, and we're quite happy with the results thus far. Now,
give us a feel and a flavour of how things are going thus far on 11/11 for you.
Yeah, good. I'm not going to give a whole host of numbers out in this, but I know, I'm sorry to disappoint. But like I said, I gave you a sense certainly of the scale and the uplift in orders of magnitude as to what we get out of first promotion. It's been broadly in line with our expectations. I think global has been sort of where we expected it to be. Tmall Local's been great for us. We've been really pleased with the growth that we've seen year on year. Yeah, we were perhaps a little bit more aggressive with some of our promotions, but not tremendously so. Single digit, sort of percentage changes versus last year. We tend to find it's the usual suspects that are the best sellers. That's and actually just going through some numbers today, the pattern day by day and even the pattern hour by hour is remarkably similar. That's a good thing from a planning perspective, certainly, because you can feel reasonably confident that things are going to play out that way. But yeah, we're sort of halfway through, if you like. We've done first pre-order, we've done first promo. We started second pre-order yesterday, and obviously finish on the big day in about a week's, 6 days.
Thursday. Yes. What advice finally would you give companies who maybe haven't participated yet in 11/11, thinking about it, maybe thinking now we'll put it on our 22 agenda? From your experience, what advice would you give them? Do it. Would be my simple experience, but do with your eyes open. I think it's a complex event. It's got a lot of moving parts to it, and I think the Chinese landscape in and of itself is also one that continues to develop. So one needs, or a business needs, to maintain a level of flexibility, a level of agility to be able to respond to that. I think if you're thinking about next year, you need to start the planning now, certainly, and understand what you are trying to get from the event, because it can be a phenomenal commercial driver. It can be a phenomenal top line driver.
but you've got to be mindful of all of the discounting that goes on. And just in terms of the sheer volume that you sell, it's incredible for driving brand awareness and brand visibility. So, which either side of sort of the equation that you sit on, you really want to be a part of it, because it is really one of the single biggest shopping events in the year in the world. It's an exciting ride, as most things in China are. I think this is our sixth one, and we've loved it.
And I presume now, given that it is your sixth one, there are also learnings from China that are now being deployed back into the global business as well. So this, in a sense, another reason to participate is, the learnings that you can have across the business from China to the business globally, as well as the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely, and that tends to be around the product itself. There's two things. There's one about the product. So those Chinese New Year lines that we've launched, those mid-autumn lines that we've launched, they're still available as well if we still have stock. They have proven to be so successful that we then run them in the UK, because there's still a Chinese customer that wants to buy that. And they're just very nice products in and of themselves anyway. So it allows you to have a test bed there certainly. I mean, you and I have spoken at length before about the live stream phenomena, and I'm sure you've covered that in other conversations. But how the market uses that channel to communicate brand, to communicate proposition, to drive volume, I'm sure is something that will start to flow back into other markets as well.
Yes, we have covered it. I'm sure we will again next week. I'm convinced that live streaming originated in China, but will become a global alternative channel of some significance going forward. Now, we'll let you go. I know you've got a catch up on numbers, probably have various different conversations with your teams back in the UK, and then hopefully get some enjoyment time over the weekend. Daniel Poppleton, the International Director of Whittards of Chelsea, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thanks, David. Enjoyed it.
And we'll be back in a few moments with movie time. So get yourself a cup of tea, make yourself a sandwich, and enjoy a collection of interesting films that give different flavors of different companies that have been successful in implementing strategies on Tmall in and around and for China. Thanks very much indeed. I'll be back after those films.